Good afternoon from Prague. I am Martina Pecková-Černá, and I am greeting you from the Arts and Theatre Institute. It is our pleasure to welcome you to the Green Thursday series of international online discussions with Czech and foreign guests from the field of performing arts. We are here every fourth Thursday at the same time, 3 p.m. Central European Time, with diverse moderators and guests ranging from dance and theater artists to curators, culture managers, and theorists.
The overall topic, "The show must go on, offline," was chosen so that we can address the common theme of sustainability and the performing arts from many perspectives. These include the response of the performing arts to the state of the environment and the COVID pandemic, as well as the field's emerging strategies to address urgent social changes and paradigm shifts in culture and in our societies. These discussions are organised by the International Cooperation Department and in collaboration with the European projects Create to Connect, Create to Impact, and the Central European Performing Arts Network, PACE V4. They also correspond with the Arts and Theatre Institutes, culture and the climate activities which serve as a communication platform for public and independent cultural organisations in the Czech Republic on global environmental challenges. We are available online on the Zoom platform right now, and later you can find our recordings on our YouTube channel. You, our spectators, will have the opportunity to ask our guests questions during the live meeting. Please feel free to use the Q&A section in your Zoom application.
Good afternoon to everyone. My name is Zuzana Uličianska. I'm working for Theatre Institute in Bratislava, that is a long-term partner with the Arts and Theatre Institute in Prague, that is hosting this series of questions. Welcome to April session. And I'm very glad that I'm able to introduce you to a very special guest that will be speaking with us from Moscow, London, Prague, and Zagreb, and even a town in Slovakia called Trnava. The overall topic of this discussions, if you have just heard, is sustainability. But this time I would not like to talk about performing arts in general, but about sustainability of drama and playwright as a human and creative being. We will be talking about physical and mental health of drama that is symbolically put into sort of quarantine, and there is, I think, a need to talk about strategies, how to heal and how to address the pandemic situation. Let me welcome among us the very, very important guest. I will start with the one that is from Moscow, Maria Krupnik. She is a manager, curator, translator. She is a lecturer at Cultural Management, but also she curates Playwright Plus educational program at Lyubimovka Young Playwrights Festival. Welcome.
Thank you.
Jelena Kovačić will speak from Zagreb. She is dramaturg, playwright, also a translator from from Polish language. She has been collaborating with very well-known journal Kazalište for years, and as a playwright, she has been collaborating with many Croatian theaters from Zagreb to Split. And we can say also that she's a winner of a couple of Croatian awards for drama. Lucia Mihalova is a colleague from Slovakia. She studied dramaturgy and playwriting at the Academy of Performing Arts. For a couple of years, she has been already a dramaturg of the theater in Trnava, but also she has been judge for playwriting competitions that are launched by Theatre Institute in Bratislava. Then Sam Pritchard will be speaking in the name of Royal Court Theatre. I think there is no need to introduce this theatre, leading theatre in an area of new writing. He's associate director international of this theatre, and he's directing plays not only for this theatre but also for Royal Theatre. You mean in the Royal Exchange, Manchester, Young Week, Soho, and his directions have been presented in many festivals such as Theatertreffen in Berlin. And last but not least, Jakub Skorpil, a long-time friend. He has co-funded a couple of different theater journals, including a very popular blog, Nadivadlo. And since 2001, he has been an editor for, I would say, the journal in the Czech theater life called World and Theater. So thank you very much all for accepting the invitation. And I just think that the best way how we can start to talk about coping with the situation is to show some good examples, some projects, to talk about some projects that are taking place right now at the moment in different theaters. And I would like to start with Sam Pritchard, who is involved in a very interesting project called Living Newspaper. And I've just read in some ad that this project involves over 60 playwrights and couple of hundreds of freelancers. So I think it will be very interesting to hear from you some how it all started at what are your experiences with this project?
Thank you so much, Susanna, and it's great to be in conversation with so many colleagues from across Europe. I guess the Living Newspaper project that we at the Royal Court have been working on during the pandemic really started life this time last year. Our artistic director, Vicky Featherstone, had, since studying drama at university, always had a fascination with and a pull towards the Federal Theatre Project, which was a Depression era 1930s initiative from FDR's government in the US, designed as a way to get artists, theatre artists of all different kinds and disciplines back to work during a period of economic hardship. And the Federal Theatre Project led to all sorts of extraordinary innovations in American theatre. It was a project in which Arthur Miller first cut his teeth. There were some extraordinary and revelatory Black theatre productions and projects that came out of the scheme in Harlem. Orson Welles worked on federal theatre project shows. And one of the most singular elements of the Federal Theatre Project was this thing called the Living Newspaper, which was designed as a touring show that would move around the US to communities small and large. And the subject matter of the show would change and develop with the news. And very often the plays and the items that were a part of the Living Newspaper were directly informing audiences of a shared reality that they didn't have access to necessarily through other forms of media. And I think when the pandemic began, and when in the UK and I think probably internationally as well, in the performing arts, there was such a palpable need for freelance artists to come together and to have something to work on, for theatres to find a way of engaging with artists during the pandemic. Vicky and we as an artistic team went back to the origins of this project and began to wonder what a form might be that would reimagine the Living Newspaper for the 21st century, and for our theatre and for our audiences. And very quickly we alighted on a sense that, as you say, we wanted to provide work and opportunities to the many hundreds of actors, writers, stage managers, technicians, lighting designers, choreographers, all of the different disciplines of artists that we weren't able to work with because our theatre was closed. And I suppose the scope and the scale of the project has been designed with that aim in mind. So originally we conceived of 6 weekly editions of this paper, each of them with 90 minutes of new content from a range of different writers with their own production teams, and a collective of theatre designers that our associate designer had formed within the building became key in us starting to imagine how this project might work. We were really keen to take our audience on a journey through the building that they might not otherwise have been allowed to go on, into backstage spaces, underneath the stage, into every corner of the building that's normally shut off from an audience. And so that has dictated quite a lot about how we've conceived the project. Different articles occupy different spaces across the Royal Courts building. And last December, we began this project, and it was conceived initially for both a live and an online audience. And obviously a series of kind of second wave lockdowns across Europe has meant that the current version of the project, which reaches its 7th edition next week, has been conceived largely as an online only project, working in close collaboration with an extraordinary theatre and film company called T Films, who are working around the clock with us to make around 90 minutes of really varied material by at least 15 playwrights each week. I've got some, if I can make the technology work.
Yeah, it would be nice to imagine.
Some some photo. Can everyone see that?
Yeah.
So the newspaper, as it's conceived currently, takes the audience on a journey around every space in the building. It always begins with a collectively written front page, which has traditionally been conceived as a musical number in the reversed structure of the theatre's main downstairs space, a speedily written 10-minute response to issues and themes that are occupying the week's news, whether that's in the aftermath of the death of Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh, ideas and issues around deprivation that have dogged the UK government during the pandemic. This has always been conceived as, this is the only live streamed element of the project, which we broadcast live each Monday, and it's always been conceived as the most responsive element of the project. The newspaper let's see if I can keep moving. The newspaper takes us through radically different spaces in the theatre into a kind of substage space which sits underneath the Royal Court's main space, which is conceived as a kind of part club environment, part home for all of the subcultures which have lost their place in society during the pandemic. We occupy spaces outside the theatre. This is a little still from an extraordinary agony aunt film that the theatre maker Anthony Nielsen made for the project, asking a homeless character to respond to the issues and crises that people might be facing during the pandemic. There are more ambitious, fully filmed pieces that we make in our theatre upstairs. Each week we commission a cartoon of the week, a very visually led, graphic, and an often cheeky response to the politics of the moment, including this Boris Johnson related riff on the UK's relationship with Europe. Audiences engage with horoscopes and agony aunt pages that are offered by individual performers here in the cloakroom of the theatre. There are longer form articles that tackle issues around identity, contemporary politics. Writers have responded in both very specific ways to the events of the week, but also to long-running issues and ideas such as climate change. We have a weather room, which is a dedicated space with a kind of environmental box that allows writers to think about climate and the weather. There are underground spaces which have been built and designed to allow writers to engage with ideas about media, trolling, the way in which our relationship with the internet has changed during this time. The newspaper has also been a sort of source of fun here. The extraordinary and inventive theatre maker Tim Crouch spent last week with us exploring a kind of chaotic and comic and surreal take on horoscopes, but it's also been a space for reflection of people's mood, their anxieties, their inner life during this time. This extraordinary piece by the theatre maker Rachel Young is part of the current edition, and it explores those themes. So hopefully a huge variety of work has been what we've been able to offer across the project. And it's also allowed us to reflect in lots of ways on the way we make theatre, why we make theatre, and to engage with all of the relationships we have with the writers and artists that we work with. Pause there.
Thank you very much. I think we could all see that it's amazing project in scope and in content and in audacity and in boldness, and from what I could see, it was a very bold also in terms of politics, an expression of all sorts of minorities. I just would like to ask you a small question. Have you been working with these playwrights before, or have you somehow launched a big contest for writing these short pieces, or how these playwrights came to you?
I suppose the thing that we wanted was to reflect our relationships with playwrights at every level. So there are playwrights there, Tim Crouch, Anthony Nielsen, playwrights like Tanika Gupta, Rebecca Pritchard, who have been working at the Royal Court since the early 90s. And we've engaged with writers from that level of experience right down to writers who are just arriving with us as part of our invitational playwriting groups. For some writers, this is the very first thing that they've written that's been produced or shared by the Royal Court. We've engaged with the full range of our relationships with playwrights internationally, and writers who also come from different disciplines, who might consider themselves more writer performers or theatre makers or live artists. So we've tried to capture in this group every kind of relationship we have with writers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Is there anything you would like to ask Sam about this project? If not, maybe one more sentence about the audience. I can imagine that this project is immensely important for creative people and for all sorts of technicians and choreographers, as you said. But is there a need from the part of audience? How popular are these short films? How can you how are you able to engage the audience with this?
I suppose the initial thing behind the project was that back when we were perhaps slightly more optimistic about the timeline for which we might all be able to return to theatre, this project was designed as a way of welcoming the audience back into our building. And indeed, for the first few editions, it was that for the audiences who could come and spend time in the building. But I think the thing that we've discovered is that the reach of the project has allowed us to engage with all sorts of different types of audiences at the same time, whether that's audiences who've been coming to the Royal Court for years, who are close to the theatre, who are supporters of the theatre, audiences internationally who don't get the opportunity to see our work.
From Bratislava, let's say, even.
Exactly. And also because the project is built from short films, and there is a kind of social media relationship with how we are able to articulate and talk about some of this work. We also feel that this has been an opportunity for us to engage audiences who haven't thought about the Royal Court before, or who are coming to us through the writers, the directors, the artists who've worked on the project. So many kinds of different audiences. And excitingly, next week we begin our young writers group take over the 7th edition of the newspaper. So writers who are at the end of their high school education here in the UK, and we are really excited about the audience that these extraordinary young writers will bring to the project.
Thank you very much. It was really inspiring. Now I would like to give a floor to Maria with a totally maybe different or maybe very similar projects. So please tell us something about what is going on around the festival Lyubimovka and in Russia in general now these days.
Yeah, hi, thank you for inviting. And I maybe start from the what was happening with the Lyubimovka Festival. We were very surprised by the pandemic. We just received a notification about the funding for the festival, and then all the pandemics till the end of August were on doubts whether the festival will happen or not. Because the contest and the applications for the festivals are closing on April, we were not able to appreciate the plays about pandemic and that were the plays that were written during the pandemic. So only this year we will have this plays. But we were able to hold the festival, and it is also was the issues of management, how to cope with restrictions of audience, how to make the online broadcasting of all the readings and master classes that we have on the festival on one hand, but on another hand, we were able to bring Belarusian playwrights, even though that they will have the political crisis in the country. And it was very important for us to make it possible for them to come to Moscow and to relax from the stress and destruction that they were feeling in their own country. And as well, we were able to find a partner for the online broadcasting of all our events, and our audience grown because of that dramatically from like 2,000 a year up to 13,000 people. They were able to watch the readings from all over the world and all over the Russian regions. So as for the writing, we are expecting this year some plays that will be covering what was happening with us during the pandemics, but there were another projects that were facing and following and covering what is happening with the writers and society in the pandemic. And one of the projects that I wanted to mention is the Corona drama project that was initiated by several St. Petersburg writers and Ukrainian writers. They've held several contests. They started in April. They had first festival in May, and then at least one in September. First round of applications, they've gathered about 80 plays from Italy, Poland, Ukraine, Russia, and Belarus. And they were amazed by the number of short plays that they've received. And the second contest was devoted to the Corona comedy, and they were asking and looking for some comedy plays. And unfortunately, I haven't written those plays, so I can't really tell what was inside them. But the life was bustling and the writers were writing. Also, Russian theater was not very equipped for going online fast, but still some writers and some theaters invented the Zoom plays and Zoom shows. And one of the example is the play Choose 3 by Dmitry Danilov, which was produced by the Voronezh Chamber Theatre. And it is the YouTube link that we can see now. It's a bit of a dystopia. The plot is telling that you only can choose only 3 people to communicate, and this family of 4, and they need to decide who will be communicated with whom.
Well, thank you. We can have a look.
Can we see the video? Barbara?
Mm-hmm.
Helen Olway, 39.
It's not
Magdalena
the one,
Nicole,
sorry.
46. Catherine Bevan.
So another example of the project was the Izhevsk Center for the Contemporary Drama. they are doing the educational project, which is called the Udmurtia Drama School. And they've decided to have the drama series. So they've gathered local young playwrights who were led by the professional established playwright from the Yekaterinburg, and they were writing series which were connected with each other, and they were they've transformed the Center of Contemporary Drama in Izhevsk into the film studio. And they were making this drama series like a road movie, and speaking about the local situation and stories that are happening in Izhevsk, and training in playwriting and in showcasing. And the local audience was very fascinated and followed this series, and were waiting for next series. And we're asking when it will be released, and it was a very clever way to preserve the audience with the theater center. So it's was one of the ways to kind of help the audience, to entertain the audience, and to speak with the audience, and kind of prove the sustainability of the center. And another example that Lyubimovka playwrights were involved with is the Flash Act project, which was developed by the Forum of Cultural Cooperation, Lyubimovka Festival, Center for Contemporary Drama in Yekaterinburg, Georgetown University, World Theater and Politics Laboratory in the United States. And Russian and US playwrights were writing a short plays, and Russian and US directors and actors were making the video versions of this theater plays and releasing on YouTube, on Facebook, like an online festival. And it also helped us to create the links and to preserve the links that we had during our Lark and Lyubimovka projects. And the last project that I wanted to mention is the International Women's Writing Project that was initiated by the London-based director Baresh Cheliloglu. This theater project called Locked Down, Locked In, on the topic of increased murders of women and domestic violence during the lockdown period. And she's doing it with her theater company, Theatre Istanbul in London. And she managed to unite the writers from England, Turkey, Greece, Spain, Russia, Italy, Poland, and Australia. And I was one of the managers and writers from the Russian side. And we were discussing what issues of domestic violence, and not only domestic violence stories we are facing in Russia. And we can see the promo video of this project. The Barbara were trying to show it, and I stopped it, so now we can see it.
Helen Alway, 39. Magdalena Paco, 46. Catherine Bevan, 53. Claire Nash, 33. Kelly Price, 39. Tahir Irali Dashti, 40. Beverly Dennehy, 61. Kianko Bandal, Margaret Grant.
So the problem of domestic violence is kind of all over the world, and that is why it was very important for us to take part in it. And when we were discussing the stories from Russia, we had the story of child kidnap and suffering of a mother. We had a story of monastery abuse and the nun that was put in danger because of the management of the monastery. Her life and health was put in danger. We had the story of like neighbors treating badly each other, psychologically, not physically, but still it is the violence, and some other stories. And this project is not released yet, so the work is going, and we hope that like nearest months it will be released and you will hear about it more.
Sorry, thank you very much. I will just ask whether you hope to reach a more diverse audience, as Sam said, that suddenly with this online project, they were able to attract all sorts of different people that would never find royal court before. So will you, do you hope that you will reach really the non-theatrical audience as well with this project that is really relevant these days?
The numbers that we've seen by the end of the Lyubimovka Festival last year, through the numbers of viewers that reached our broadcasting and watched our posts on YouTube and our readings on YouTube and masterclasses on YouTube, showed us that yes, we are reaching wider, like a number wider audience. And actually it is a question for us, because this year we might not be able to have enough funding to do the same. It was a crisis situation. Our partner gave us a huge discount for the broadcasting. And in the normal situation, we are not able to cover all the costs of such broadcasting. And we will have to decide whether we will be able to broadcast this year our readings or not. Also, we were having the crowdfunding campaign during the pandemic, and we were raising funds for redesign and rebuilding of our website, because it's very old and we need to rebuild it. And we were able to raise about 500,000 rubles through the diverse events, and we were having the 24 hours drama marathon, when the actors from all over the Russia, from Sebastopol to Kaliningrad, from Yekaterinburg to Moscow, in Siberia and the Far East, were reading diverse plays, and we were broadcasting those readings online, and people were able to donate while they were watching those videos.
Just for our audience to be able to imagine, I've read that you just received the 754 entries for your festival, so it will be quite a large number to read.
Yeah, we just on the 1st April closed the application process for this year. It's 745 plays, and our 18 readers are working hard. And by the mid-June, we will have a long list, and by the beginning of July, we will have a short list. And soon, by the end of July, we will have the full program of our September festival.
Is it a bigger number than years before or not?
It's a bit lower than previous year, because last year we had 850 something. But still, it's a huge number.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Maybe we can go back to the video we wanted to show at the very beginning, if we are able to see the example of video.
Maybe we can try Choose 3.
Choose 3 production.
Yep.
Just
By
remind.
director Mikhail Bычkov from Chamba Theatre in Voronezh.
This is the story of a family that can
Yes.
only talk with 3.
Yeah. It is the family kind of discussion who will be selecting whom to communicate for the whole pandemic lockdown.
Mm-hmm. Barbara, can we try to? No.
Maybe I can.
Okay, so it's coming. Okay, now we hear.
Yeah, this one. Yeah.
Может, уже начнем?
Подожди.
Я понимаю, Коль. Тебе занятно в роли ведущего.
Какого ведущего?
Ведущего хоть чего-нибудь.
Нелечка.
Не вел, не возглавлял собрание.
Нелечка.
Я понимаю, Коля. Созыв семейного совета, роль патер фамилиуса.
Нелечка, зачем ты начинаешь?
Паш, ты что там делаешь? Это косяк? Я правильно поняла?
Да, мама, ты правильно поняла. Я сейчас скручиваю косяк и скоро закурю его.
Я в курсе, что ты это делаешь. Но можно это делать не во время нашей единственной за многие годы семейной встречи. У нас тут семейный совет.
Нет, мама, у меня психологическая зависимость.
Паша, ну можно же потом? Ну что это такое? Это какая-то фигня. Я прошу вас всех серьезно отнестись. И вот какая-то, просто вообще ерунда.
Я серьезен, как президент Венесуэлы на встречу с Путиным.
Всем привет! Простите, что опоздала, простите. 3 проверки было на дороге, проехать невозможно. Ой, ну все собрались. Петенька, здравствуй.
Бабушка, ты меня имеешь в виду?
Да, Петя.
It's grandma, father,
Ой,
mother, son
Паша.
and girl, and they're all in
Пашенька, привет.
different cities, different
Как там
locations.
твоя травка?
Какая травка, бабушка?
Паш, веселая травка.
Мама, привет.
Maria, you have already a question from someone. Whether did you reach wider and different group of playwrights in lockdowns? So it's not about audience, I asked, but about playwrights. You already answered this, that whether it was higher or not. So it was not higher, but still very high.
Yeah, it
number.
was very high. And if we would speak about kind of sustainability and how theater and festivals were supporting the playwrights during the pandemic, for example, the Theatre Dog, they've initiated the educational program of training, and the citizens from all over Russia were able to participate online in the drama classes with diverse playwrights, and then they were having the online readings of their plays that they were devising within those classes. It was payable, so there were a fee that people had to pay to learn playwriting from the playwrights who cooperate with the Theatre Dog. And this was an opportunity for playwrights to earn something.
So now you can, in next year, you will have 1,000 plays written after all those courses.
We'll see. We're not hunting for numbers, but we're looking for the new themes, new language, new heroes, new topics. Yeah. So we are looking for something new.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I hope you will be able to raise money even if the pandemic is stopped. And I think theater in Russia was not so badly hit. I understand, at least from amazing number of great productions that were presented by Russian Case during the Golden Mask Festival.
The non-governmental theaters were quite hit by the pandemic. Some were losing the venues as all over the world. The state theaters were more safe because they have the subsidies from the government. But still, we are trying to do our best and survive somehow.
Okay, thank you very much. Now I would like to give a floor to Yelena from Zagreb. We have asked her to present the project that is with the obvious title, Mono COVID-19. And she will tell us something how it all started and what are the outcomes, because it has already been in the stage form as well. So please, Yelena.
Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. I'm very glad to be here. Thank you for the invitation. So I will try to tell something about a project called, the title is a little bit different. It's Mono-COVID-19 and not Mono-COVID, so it's a little bit different than you said. So this project started from an individual initiative. The lockdown in Croatia started in the middle of March 2020, and as everywhere, everything was of course cancelled over the night, and most of the theater artists are freelancers, so this was really a shocking situation for everybody. And as soon as it started, everyone gathered, and on Zoom, of course, because from their living rooms, but still we were in a way together. And we had a lot of discussion, what can we do and how can we respond to this new situation. And a lot of theater artists started to produce online content. And at some point after the first shock, Ivor Martinic, my colleague and the playwright, and I started to talk about what can we do and how can we gather our colleagues, dramaturgs and playwrights to show in some way that we can go through this together. So one night we were just talking on the phone, like every night. Ivor actually lives in Barcelona. He doesn't live in Zagreb. And we came up with this idea of Mono-COVID-19. And since Ivor is one of the editors of this website called Drame.hr, which is publishing Croatian plays, and I'm the vice president of SPEED, which is the Guild of Playwrights, Dramaturgs and Screenwriters in Croatia, we decided to make a collaboration between those two organizations. But it was very important for us that all the writers were paid for their writing, and we didn't have any money. So we just had the idea. So we contacted Croatian ITI Center, and they were very much interesting. The ITI Center also is publishing this magazine called Kazalište in Croatian, in English is theater. And the president of Croatian ITI Center, Željka Turčinović, she supported us. She decided to support us and to be a part of the project. So the idea was to invite 19 Croatian playwrights of different generation to participate in the project. Number 19, of course, is from the name of the virus, our new little enemy, common enemy. And some of the writers were very well known writers. Some of the writers were students or at the beginning of their career. And we were very thankful because they all said yes immediately. As we called them, they said yes, we want to participate in this, and they saw it as an opportunity to act together in this situation. We wanted them to write about this paradoxical situation that is separating, and that was separating, because in Croatia there is no more lockdown. This paradoxical situation that was separating and connecting us at the same time. And Mono-COVID-19 was an attempt to see this new, to look at the new life circumstances that we were forced to accept because of the pandemic, which actually made us question some of our life habits, our relationships, made us to wake our fears, to test our resistance to panic, but also to question social and political system that we are living in. For us, this situation of isolation was had a lot of drama potential in it, because it was new, it was unknown, and it brought to light the best and the worst in us. And at the same at the same time, the form of monologue was very interesting for us, because the monologue always implies this other person that you are trying to say something to. So a monologue always contains an interlocutor, and this urge to talk to somebody and to share this experience with somebody was very much intense. And writer's task was to write a short monologue about the life in isolation, but we gave them a choice to choose between 4 different perspectives. From a perspective of a completely new character made up for this project, from a perspective of a character that already exists in their former play, from a perspective of an already existing character of a canonical writer, or from a perspective of a real person, either historical or contemporary. They had a deadline of 10 days only. And some of them respected this deadline, some of them didn't, but we weren't that strict. None of the authors knew what was the other one writing about. So at the end, when we got all the monologues, we really got a gallery of different stories and different characters. And it was interesting because there was no repetition, so everything was completely different. Most of the characters were new, so made up for the project, but we also had, for example, monologue of Richard III, of Melanie Trump, of one French scientist, Bruno Canard, or, for example, of a guitar of a Croatian politician and musician. So we really got 19 different perspectives. We had powerful politicians and their wives. We had scientists and nurses, old people locked in their homes, single divorced mother, molested women, victims of domestic violence, lost youth, religious fanatics, concerned neighbors, forgotten artists, lonely angels. And we had also, for example, the character of Europe. When we got almost all the monologues, we started to publish them on this website, Drame.hr, and we were publishing 1 monologue a day, but only during from Monday to Friday, so during the working days. And so it took us about four weeks to publish all the monologues online. Of course, just for reading, they were not staged, they were just for reading. And actually, in this first week, we got several calls from different theaters. They were interested in the project and wanted to collaborate in some way to stage it online or live. But we didn't actually want to do it online. We wanted to do it live performance. So we decided that we are going to wait for the lockdown to stop. And at the end, we collaborated with Zagreb Youth Theater. It actually happened very fast. We weren't expecting this at all. In the meantime, all the monologues were published in this magazine Theater. So you can see this is the front page, and these are the 19 authors that these are COVID heroes. They were writing for this project. And so as soon as the lockdown finished, we started the rehearsals in Zagreb Youth Theater. It was the end of the May, beginning of June. This theater actually supported the project from the beginning. And the performance was direct. Maybe we can now show some pictures, and I will just continue talking because we have some pictures. The opening night was in the beginning of July 2020. And the performance was directed by Anica Tomic, a director that I always work with as a dramaturg. It had since that was really a lot of material to stage, 19 different stories, a lot of different characters. We decided to make actually 3 performances that started at the same time and were playing at the same time during one evening. Every performance had different audience, and every audience saw 7 monologues in one evening. In every performance, there were actually 6 monologues, and the 7th monologue, all the audience watched together. And of course, we made an adaptation for the stage. We made 3 narrative lines, and every line had a guiding character. Actors were playing all around the theater, in every corner of the theater. And the guiding character was guiding them through the theater and through the performance from one stage to another, whether it was a real stage or an improvised stage. Some of the monologues were no longer, of course, monologues. We had 20, this is on the roof of the theater, we had 20 actors, and some of them are playing in all the 3 performances. So they are running from one performance to another, which was very challenging for them and for us, because we have to have a very strict timeline. And since this was the first opening night after the lockdown, the reaction of the public was really great, and I think that they could very much connect with it. They saw in it some sort of victory of theater, that the theater can survive the pandemic, it can produce despite the pandemic, and it can talk about it and not to be afraid of it. And what also happened in the meantime is that all monologues were translated in Polish by Gabriela Abrasovic, and they were published online by Theatre Institute in Łódź. Some of the monologues were also recorded for Croatian National Radio. So this project actually really started from nothing, from a need to talk about it, to cope with it, and we didn't know how will it develop. We had some wishes, but everything was really very uncertain. And it turned out that, this is Melanie Trump, and it turned out that Mono-With-19 had and still has a very rich life. It is also, for example, it is also, this is also Melanie. It is planned to translate all the monologues in Spanish, but we will see what will happen with that. So that's about it from me for now. So this is about Mono-With-19.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. I think it was amazing to see the variety you talk about. We could really tell it's from all walks of life. I wanted to ask you about the monologue as a form, but as you said, some of the stories have already been transferred into some bigger drama.
No, they weren't transformed. They were just a little bit transformed. Because every piece lasted for 10 minutes. It couldn't last more because, we had, since there were 3 performances that were going on at the same time, we were all on the talkie-walkies, and it was like we had a very strict timeline so that audience comes together at the last monologue at the same time. It was very exciting for everybody, I think.
We can save this question for later on, or if someone wants to answer it right now, whether after all this period we will not get bored a little bit by monologues, and we will be craving for full dramas with 18 personalities. What do you think? What about? Are we going to sustain this monologue tendency, and after it's hopefully some restriction will be lifted or not?
Well, the situation in Croatia is maybe a little bit different because since the theater opened in July, we didn't have lockdown. The theaters are working all the time, and we are producing and playing all the time, although with a restricted number of the audience. And everything is staged. Maybe not a big ensemble performances, not that, but till 10 actors is normally staged. I mean, under all the measures that have to be taken because of the situation. So I don't see in Croatia that this form of monologues are very much increased. I mean, we have everything, and I think that for me, it is very touching to see that the audience is very much coming to theater, although it is a little bit, of course, dangerous, and everybody is afraid of this virus. And now in Croatia, for example, at the end of the performance, when the audience starts to clap the actors starts to clap the audience to thank them that they came and they support the theater. So we are not in lockdown. Maybe we are a little bit spoiled now. You know, we have a lot of problems because the number of production is of course smaller, but we are producing all the time.
Okay,
playing.
that's
Yeah,
good for you and good
Yeah.
for us. Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. And now I would like to ask Lucia Mihalova to speak a little bit about the contest that had the deadline quite recently. It's been already for 20 years that this competition for new text for both Czech and Slovak playwrights has been launched. And what we can tell right now that the number of entries was doubled more or less since the last year. So at least in terms of quantity, it's a big rise. So Lucia, can you tell us about the topics, the mood of these plays you already read? You should not talk about names because it's not really released the outcomes.
Well, so also thank you for inviting, and good afternoon, everyone. So the drama contest is announced annually by the Slovak Theatre Institute in Bratislava, and is it the single and also most significant Slovak contest for playwrights. Plays in Czech language can enter also. In the drama contest, the winner is awarded among main awards also the Jan Palaric Theatre Award. That why I am a part of the jury as a dramaturg of this theatre. So just mentioned, currently the first round of the contest is running. The second reading round begins in May, where only 10 out of 64 plays may enter. That is why I don't want to give away too much details, nor prefer or condemn any given text. I will more likely try to approach the issue as a whole regarding the corpus of the play, which is in many regards remarkable compared to the previous years. So the main difference compared to previous years is the amount of the plays that entered the contest. The amount is doubled this year, and also the concentration with which the plays were written is noticeable. You can basically feel the amount of time on the hands of the authors, which in some cases show the ability for the plays to, so to say, age well. The authors had time they previously did not have at their disposal. In the previous years, there have been plays based on an interesting premise which has not been seen through properly, much to our dismay. It is also interesting that many of the previously recurring themes, such as the redefining of national history, life under totalitarian regimes, capitalism and consumer society, are not strongly present this year. It is interesting that this year focused on texts that have been really introverted. That means they did not try to lure audience with some grand bait topic or being pretentious, but it was a really insight into the mind of man and his relations with himself, their parents, their partners, kids, as if coronavirus introduced some form of relationship audit, forcing one to explore closely the quality of an individual life and their intimacies, excluding politics, environment, history, etc. I appreciate and hold in high regard the sincereness that some authors entered in their confessions. it is also quite compelling that this very personal approach abolished the schemacity model and thesis-based writing, which were so very present in the past years. A recurring motive this year is, I mean, it is remarkable that it is death. The plays take place on funerals, hospitals, on the brink of death, as well as the afterlife. More than before, the motive of murder is present, mainly suicide. There are thoughts, medicinal and philosophical in character regarding death, regarding if and how we are ready for it, and if it is possible at all. It is very interesting that the authors worked quite often with spiritual themes, such as ghosts contacting the afterlife, the characters of devils, demons, souls, etc. As the authors were asking themselves a question, if the contemporary state in which we find ourselves, if this waiting for the pandemic to blow over is alive at all, but are also raising the question if it could be considered life, the existence we led before the pandemic. And important theme, topic that connects several plays is guilt and the following weight on one conscience, as well as the struggle for redemption. It was an interesting note for me that in this year, the authors are much more universal. They talk about topics that do not necessarily correlate with the current media coverage. Of course, there have been pieces that involve the topic of corona directly, for instance, in form of conspiracy theories. I considered interesting the text that correlated corona and art, like, for instance, the picture of an empty theater could be found in several plays. Some plays have situationally used anti-pandemic regulations, like when a family ended up stuck together due to a lockdown and found out they could not coexist, you know. So there are on one side plays that indirectly represents corona, and on the other side plays that directly talk about this situation. Some plays worked with the martial law or the restriction in crossing the state borders, unemployment due to corona, etc. However, the majority of text did not directly regard corona at all. It could be said that the leitmotif of this year was not the physical well-being and physical health, but the psychological one, which says a lot about how the corona affected the authors.
Thank you very much. It's a very nice analysis. Thank you, Lucia. I would straight away ask Jakub to comment maybe on what you just said and on all the projects presented, whether you can find some parallel projects in Czech Republic, whether you can speak about similar initiatives, what were in your mind when you were watching all these videos and photos?
Oh, yep, I must say, yeah, everything everybody said is, of course, interesting, and I'm surprised by the variety of all the activities. I think it's common to all the countries, to all the cultures, to somehow react to the COVID, to the pandemic, to quarantines, to lockdowns. Yeah, but I must say, in Czech Republic we did not have as much activities or as much drama reflecting COVID itself. Most theaters are trying to basically to stay in contact with their audience. They are doing podcasts, they're doing some live streams of their new shows, but very few of them is touching the situation we are living. There was one big project last year, which was surprisingly quick reaction to start of the pandemic, when Divadlo na Fidlovačce asked 10 Czech playwrights to write short pieces for them, and then they prepared them as short videos. Most of them were filmed in theater, but some of them looked like theater, some of them were films. It was a very interesting project because there was very interesting variety of responses to first shock of the pandemic, of how people did cope with it. It ranged from simple comedies to poetic pieces to some, let's say, phantasmagories or some wild things, and basically that's all regarding COVID. We yeah, maybe I can add that unfortunately we had a similar contest as you have with drama, but it ended a couple of years ago. So we currently do not have a big drama competition in Czech Republic. So it's limited to activities of the theaters, of the companies, and maybe of the magazines, which is where I'm heading, which is heading to our magazine, Sveta Divadlo, or Merlin Theatre, as we started last year, also quite early. We commissioned, we asked our friends all across Europe, our playwrights, which we collaborated earlier, to write some short pieces for us. And I'm happy that we were able to get 4, I think, brilliant texts by Frederick Bradberg, Maria Sikorska-Miščuk, Michal Valčák, and Christian Ceresoli. And 2 of them, the text by Frederick Bradberg, I'm sorry, and Christian Ceresoli are also available on our web page as a part of eVOD, which is electronic edition of electronic anthology of some texts from our magazine. It's free on our website, so you can find it here quite easily. And we're still trying to reach playwrights to write some short texts for us, but they are not connected with COVID. This 4 plays, it was some exception. Now the theme of this year is a revolution or evolution, which is mainly focused on what's gonna happen after the COVID. If there's gonna be change, what the change should look like, and so on. Yeah, I think, yeah, if it's, and also, yeah, and there's another one thing I want to mention about activities which we started, which is we have this activity called New Directions of Use, which is named by collection of poems of Jiří Kolář, published in the 1960s, which were pieces of so-called destatic poetry. It means it's to describe it, it's the poem which has the form take a book, go outside, read 3 first verses, and so on. So we asked Czech poets to write something similar to that, and we will be publishing it throughout the year. It's another type of, it's not drama itself, but it's another type of activity which the readers can, or which everybody can do at home, which should have some dramatic maybe quality. Okay, did I answer your question?
Yeah, maybe yes. I was about to ask whether it's good or bad that if playwrights are not directly responding to COVID, but because maybe it can be very superficial. Sometimes we were thinking it's too early to reflect on communism, it's too late to reflect on communism, whether these sorts of questions will arise also with COVID. And you also mentioned the future. So how, this is a question to all of you, how would you call the period we are entering? I think everyone is, you know, there is a lot of talk that we are in some interim period, in some mid-time, maybe even interregnum. So what will be next? Can we call it renaissance, renovation, recuperation? So have anyone already given a name to the period we are heading for?
Maybe I would keep the word as keep the word. You know, I'm sure there will be plenty of COVID dramas in next 2, 3, or 4, basically in next years. I think everybody will start to reflect, because it will be hot theme. But interesting thing is, I was doing an interview with Mark Ravenhill for a magazine last week, and we touched the same themes which we are speaking here. And he basically said that I asked him if he would write about COVID, and he said never. That he would refuse such opportunity, because he said, yeah, maybe in 10 years there will come someone who will have some really new experience or a really new perspective. But now, what was the situation? We were sitting at home, feeling lonely, and basically that's all. So everybody lived that. So what can we see new in this? And yeah, I will stop here.
Do you agree with Mark Ravenhill?
Me? Yeah, I do.
I mean, yeah, but so let's say Sam, let's say, do you agree with this opinion that we have to wait another 10 years to be able to cover this time?
I suppose I sort of do agree with Mark, in that our experience at the Royal Court is often that playwrights are necessarily disobedient in how they approach writing about the current moment, and that the best plays about the climate, or the best plays about contemporary political events, often don't look like we expect them to look. I think a lot of British theatre after 2016 spent a long time wondering who would write the great play about Brexit, or that would open up that subject matter, and I don't know that anyone really did or has, or if they did write about it, they wrote about it in really unexpected ways. And I think our approach has always been to be led by where the playwrights want to travel, rather than giving them a commission to cover a particular subject matter. So I sort of, I agree with Mark in that it won't be what we expect it will be, and we should wait and see, maybe.
Yeah. Yelena, do you think?
Well, I don't think that there is a one answer to this question. I think that it very much depends on how an author is reacting and to the themes that he or she is interested in. So I saw a lot of really good works that are really an immediate reaction to this situation, because unfortunately not all the people were at home sitting and waiting it to finish. A lot of people didn't have the opportunity to do that, didn't have the money to do that, didn't have the comfort to do that. So I think that yes and no is the right answer. You know, it depends on what do you want this drama to be. Of course, that the distance from, we actually had this conversation with one of the authors that is also in Monowid 19, because at first he said that he doesn't know because he doesn't have any distance to this theme, and he doesn't know what to write about it because he doesn't understand it yet. And then we said to him, well, write about that you don't understand this situation, because this is a perfectly normal feeling at this moment. So I think that in Monowid 19, these were really short monologues, you know, 2 to 3 pages, and they are all about uncertainty and not knowing what will happen and what can we expect, and is it okay that we feel this way or not, or is it a real danger or not. So all the questions that we are asking ourselves every day. But of course, the distance will give a completely different perspective on all this. I mean, and a lot of writers in Croatia are also not writing about COVID. Some new dramas that are now pending in theaters are not about COVID, but are, for example, about some stuff that appeared, for example, last week there was an opening night of a really good performance about conspiracy theories, because you know, what is happening around us is like a golden mine for conspiracy theories.
Okay.
So it is not directly about COVID, but it is, because one of the conspiracy theories is 5G and stuff like that. So for me,
we can even
yeah, it's yes and no.
We can even invent a new genre like fake drama or conspirational drama. That's, thank you very much. And the Russian theater is very well known for docudrama and documentary approach. Do you, Maria, do you see any emerging documentaries coming out of this situation and covering this situation? Will a big project that will be linked to our response to COVID be staged?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure, but I remember that actually one of the programs of the Lyubimovka Festival is a fringe program, where the special jury selects the plays that are not looking like the classical text for the theater. And they are asking whether it is possible to stage such a text or something that is presented as a play, and like questioning the borders of the theater, the borders of the playwriting, the borders of the drama. And if I will be able to share, so one of the plays of the last year Lyubimovka of the Fringe, it was the play by Polina Karatic, which is exactly covering the COVID situation, and it was the collections of the screenshots of the Instagram, and it was the view out of the window of the apartment where Polina lives, and it was showing this several shorts and short texts, and this was the play. So it is the kind of talk how we can understand. It is called I Am at Home, and it is kind of reflection of what is the isolation, how we can understand it, how we can understand the world outside our homes, and how we can feel what is happening. And so it's look like that.
Well, interesting. Thank you.
Yeah, and it's like it is the drama, because behind the each kind of thing, each photo, there is some plot and story, and we can think forward and build new theater, new production in our heads. So this is one of the approaches how the young playwrights are creating the new drama about the COVID in Russia.
Yeah. So it's far from sort of verbatim theater, but it's really documentary. And I would like to ask Sama that I've read that British filmmakers are getting ready for some TV series on Britain's response to COVID wave and about it's with Kenneth Branagh playing Prime Minister Boris Johnson. So will some theaters act similarly, and there will be some David Hare big play about politics and politicians. I mean, like this. I'm not talking about him, but this type of big drama.
I guess the answer is I don't know. It feels like there is a lot to unpack in the. I mean, I'm sure this is the case for all of us, but a lot to unpack in the British governmental response to COVID and its successes and its many flaws and failures. And I'm sure there are some more documentary approaches that might crop up, like the ones you suggest, but I don't have a hotline to David Hare's current thinking about that.
Okay. And anywhere else in the world, is there someone writing a big story about COVID?
In Russia, there were several examples of online TV series that were made just during the pandemic, about the pandemic. For example, the Konstantin Bogomolov were filming the series about the two couples that are in the interrelations and kind of wives are swapping the husbands, not knowing that, and when it is released and opened, this conflict is like going out. So there are some stories, but they are more of kind of entertaining family conflicts than something more social or covering the hospitals, the COVID, and some serious or traumatic stories.
Mm-hmm. And this brings me to another question, whether this horrible situation will give a final end to endless TV series about hospitals that are very popular, or we will be watching them again and again because basically TV newsreels now are full of very disturbing images from urgent care units. And I don't think we will see this entertaining stories from hospitals in a future in a similar way. What do you think? There are a lot of plays from hospitals as well.
Well, I don't know if you're speaking about Czechoslovak series from hospitals. Maybe that's the situation. But my wife is watching Grey's Anatomy, which is 17 years old American TV series, and they already incorporated COVID this year in the series. So everybody's playing in masks and they're treating their patients with COVID. So yeah, I think there's no reason to stop. Of course, I can, as maybe you insisted, I can hardly imagine any well, how to say it?
Comedies from
well, not really. I've seen some comedic approaches in the Decameron series, which I was talking about, and I'm on the other hand, I'm looking forward to read some or see some really dark black humor play about COVID. That would be a relief. In the contrary to still swimming in the pool of tears and so on. But yet maybe if I come back, maybe of course we both cannot imagine that Czech or Slovak TVs will product some intelligent COVID hospital series. But I believe that's not the situation worldwide.
So Netflix will come with
Netflix, definitely, ABC, things like that. Yeah, it depends on the authors. It depends on the writers. Always, if there's some interesting, intelligent approach, it's perfectly okay.
Mm-hmm. But we were laughing with Jakub Skorpil because there was a really never-ending story of a TV series, it's Hospital on the Edge of Town, that can be seen even in some Central European countries as well. And of course, all sorts of Chicago Hope and everything like that. I will.
In Russia, we had it is not a kind of theatrical, but theater people were involved in this action when we faced the dramatic story with the lack of the materials in the hospitals. Theater people started reading the monologues of the doctors from diverse hospitals telling about their experience, and it was the online action to support the doctors from diverse hospitals all over the country, and to raise the money to buy the masks and costumes for the doctors. And the Kirill Serebrennikov and Gogol Center Theater, they've made a huge concert when it was possible in autumn, to support the doctors and to welcome the doctors, to kind of celebrate at least some ease of situation. But in Moscow, we just had the news that more than 9,000 new COVID infections were opened. So we don't know whether we're going to the second or third already wave. So it's never-ending story.
Maria, thank you for this very very interesting story. And I would ask, you are all theater people, and we all, I hope, believe in playwriting and in new drama. But will this situation strengthen the position of playwright? I'm not now talking about the one that is sitting alone, writing on his own some text, as opposed to series of devised theaters, fixed improvisations. During the Russian case, there was a discussion about necessity of new drama in the new theater, and basically many people don't think it's needed, as a text, as a starting point anymore. So what do you think? Because this situation is definitely not very good for devised theater. So is it good for lonely playwright?
It is a very difficult question, because we think about it ourselves and we discuss it and talk about it all the time, whether in contemporary world the playwright is still needed, especially when the text generators are coming and kind of artificial intelligence is coming. my students in High School of Economics were building the artificial intellect for the project that Mikhail Durninkov was doing with the director Yuri Kvitkovsky about the new and old professions and how they are changing and dying and coming. So I don't know, but I believe that people will always need stories. And the importance of stories in very many ways, in psychological way, in a way how we can learn about a situation and how we can learn about how to cope with diverse situations, we will still need the stories. And that is why the playwrights and screenwriters will always have some job to do. Maybe they will have more tools to use, but the imagination, intuition can't be replaced by the artificial intellect, at least yet, I believe.
What do you think, Sam? What is the position of playwright now on a
It
British?
seems that playwright should be very flexible, and it should or it can he or she can select in which way he or she wants to work and where to go, because now the playwrights are working with the plastic theater, dance performances, shows, films, series, devising and writing the play for a theater, or adapting the poetry or novels for the theater. So there are a lot of work for good playwrights, and theaters still need them. But situation is changing, and where it will go, we do not know. So we need to follow it. We need to keep a hand on pulse of the time and be ready for as many changes that it will bring us.
Yeah. Jakub has something to add to this. He's raising his head.
Yes. I want. Yeah, I would oppose what you said. As you said that, if I understood it well, as you said, the times now are not very good for devised theater. From what
I mean, because people can't meet.
But from what I'm experiencing in Czech theater, it looks like that they're not good for classical drama or the old type of drama, because of course theaters are closed, and when you try to produce the traditional type of drama online, it well, almost never comes well, and so there's a plenty of projects based on probably conceptual art, on maybe also devised type of or new type of drama, when several companies are presenting you with organized happenings. Immersive theater is having quite good time, because you can walk through the streets alone, or several types of theater plays, several types of audio walks, and basically to answer your question is it all will depend on whether the theater will change after all lockdowns are lifted, after COVID will be nothing more than seasonal illness, as we are used to with flu and things like that. And there's a big discussion, I'm sure not only in Czech Republic, all around the world, whether the theater should change, whether the theater should use the wave of or use the situation when all those types of non-traditional drama or non-traditional theater came forward in those difficult times. And if we should build on this, there's a big initiative in Czech National Theatre, which where the artistic chief of its drama department already said that he will, of course, be staging classical plays, but a regular part of their repertoire should be some site-specific plays, some types of non-traditional drama, some performances which will incorporate the audience in non-traditional way. So maybe maybe we are standing at some in some crossroads, maybe, and never. I think nobody knows where will we move next.
I would like to ask Lucia, because she works for traditional repertory, regional theater. Are there similar thoughts occurring in Trnava as well as in National Theatre in Prague? Do you think of what should be put on stage in next months? Do you search for some classical piece of repertoire that would suit the atmosphere of contemporary life?
Well, I think the change of dramaturgy most likely has to come, but we cannot evaluate that yet. We will see during next year. We are currently focusing only on universal themes that could be interesting during the pandemic and post-pandemic times, like the generational conflict, the discrimination of minorities, the need to understand differences, but also the topic of altruism and compassion. We think it could make sense that the people in quarantine gained new insight of these topics, but we will see. I really don't think that we should play about plague, apocalypse, deadly diseases, corruption of the world and such, mainly because we lived through that. We should take our time to approach the theme artistically, because only with the passage of years will begin to see what impact this situation had on us and how we change.
But do you?
But
do
I just
you
want
think
to
there
add
will be
something about. Sorry.
Do you think that there will be a wave of adaptations of Camus' Plique, or the wave of the White Disease by Karel Čapek in our Czechoslovak context, or certainly those the journal of Plague year, all those really superficially linked to this situation, or have you dismissed this option right away?
I think this is not really curious for us or for the audience, but I just want to add something to our Slovak playwrights and this question about improvisation theater and site-specific theaters, because I think that Slovakia is still pretty cautious about creating own projects based on improvisation. I mean, classical repertory theaters. And to approach a playwright, present him with the dramaturgical intention or a concept ideological focus is still a safer bet, and we in Slovakia prefer those. The less risk, the better. Not in the bad sense. In this regard, the position of the playwright is not threatened in any way, I think. We are more likely to encounter the issue that there is a lack of good playwrights in Slovakia. There certainly could be more. Hopefully there will be more after the pandemic. I hope.
Okay, thank you very much. We are almost going to the last round of the question. We haven't responded yet to my idea how we can name this period. What would you suggest, will it, we are generally mixing the society and drama. We are using Elizabethan drama, restoration comedy. We are using pre-war, post-war dramas. These type of terms that are basically showing us that there is a very strong link between society and drama. So how the drama that is going to be written in next years will be called? What do you think? Can you come up with some ideas to we can promote this this name later on? Something like in-your face drama or whatever. I mean, this type of. Yelena has something to say, so certainly.
Oh, I don't know, really. I don't know, new normal drama, I don't know, or back to normal drama or something like that. I mean, it is very hard now to predict anything, of course, but the period that we are living in with COVID or without COVID is so much different, and it doesn't have this kind of I don't know how to express myself now, maybe in English, but this certain number of rules or the authorities or something like that, like before. We are still in postmoderna, anything goes. We can have everything at the same time. So maybe
will it be post-COVID drama,
or maybe maybe post-COVID drama, who knows?
Okay.
Maybe nobody will be that interested in COVID.
In COVID anymore. Okay.
Who knows?
Any other suggestions?
I don't know how we will call it. If we would take the situation that is happening in Russia, we have so much absurd happening alongside the COVID, that we are all the time speaking about the absurd. In terms of the politics, in terms of the war in Ukraine, in terms of the Navalny story and what is happening with him, and it is the level of terror and absurdity that is happening with the repressions and so on, that the COVID is just one of the
problems,
of the number of factors that we are dealing with. And it was very funny somewhere in the end of summer when the authorities were going to ease the restrictions about the public gatherings and theaters. They were suggesting that the film houses and theaters should show more of the comedies to make people easier to adjust to the situation. And that we faced after the Lyubimka festival, that some plays were immediately taken by the theaters and staged, and the plays that were staged were speaking about post-Soviet experience of the conflicts in the post-Soviet republics and diverse issues with the nationalities and ethnicities and ethnic conflicts and so on. So just reflection about the Soviet, post-Soviet times and crushes of the country. And it seems that we are on the edge of some big changes, and the COVID is one of the steps towards these big changes. And this is, I don't know how we will call it this time.
Roaring 20s. Jakub, certainly you can come with some idea.
No, I was joking in our common chat here that maybe excluding Sam in Great Britain, everybody waiting for for vaccines, so maybe it should be in your vein drama, because they already do vaccine in Great Britain, but we are all waiting, and God knows when we will get our vaccine. So no, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if as we touched the subject during the discussion here, nobody knows what's gonna happen. As I said, we're standing on the crossroads, and as I think some pointed out a couple of moments ago, or maybe I'm sorry, maybe it was somebody else. It's best to expect unexpected. The best drama would be the drama which we cannot imagine. It would be something that we could not expect. Somebody comes with something completely surprising, and as you asked us in the question you sent us before, if we are waiting for another Angels in America of this period, I think it should come. I think more or less it's sure. This type of drama will come in years, but it will be complete surprise. It will be from direction we could not expect it. It should be somebody very young. It should be Carol Churchill, for example, coming with some really super view of the situation, or David Mamet, or I don't know. So yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure we can label. We're still so deep in the situation, even though maybe in most of the countries we're beginning to see the light at the end of the tunnel, as we all the time hear. But still, it's too early to give labels.
Mm-hmm. Okay, just to say that FBI report knows what is coming, and they say fractious societies worldwide, increase instability across the world, reshape political economic realities, and so on and so on. So at least someone knows that it will be quite a dramatic material to write about it. Well, what do you think, Sam? That's maybe I will give you a perfect option to close this the talk.
That we've been really aware of in this period of time is, and I think this goes back to our conversation about whether this was a positive or enriching period for the playwright. Are the plays that we have lost in this gap or in this pause, and the particularly for freelance artists and particularly for emerging writers and artists, the careers and the opportunities that have been imperiled by this crisis. And I think that feels like something that will really define the next period of time, that as Yelena was saying, that not all writers and artists have had the luxury to sit back and use the expanse of time that being at home has offered them. And I think particularly in the UK, we have been thinking and concerned about those artists, particularly for us playwrights, whose work may have been scheduled, disrupted, who might not have got that first play in front of an audience, whose economic situation means that sticking with an already very difficult to sustain career has been impossible because of COVID. So as we come out of it, what our theatres do for those voices feels like perhaps the most pressing question. I don't know if you can boil that down into the name of an era, but it's certainly something we've been thinking about.
Thank you. It was very important to mention this. Basically, we all know, and we are all facing this economic harshness. But Lucia wanted to add some of her.
Just few words. I once heard a metaphor on a podcast that is applicable for this situation. It was about a mouse who came to the same place daily because of a piece of cheese regularly appearing in the same spot. One day the cheese was gone, but the mouse continued to visit the spot until the rest of its days, hoping it will appear again. So our quest is to realize after the pandemic is over that the cheese is gone and never to return, but it could appear somewhere else. It is important for us in the theater to have a similar mindset, I think, that the audience from before the pandemic is not the same as the one that comes after, and we have to prepare for the beginning of a new phase. Of uncertain how it is going to look like, but we need to at least adapt our mindset for its arrival.
Thank you. That's really to the point, I think. Is there anyone that is inspired by these last words to add something? Just some closing remarks from your part? If no one is urged to say anything more, I would really like to thank you very much for your extraordinary, really perfect contributions and presenting the projects that are all very valid and that are helping not only your communities, but also via some international relationship. Also, I think the general theater public, at least in Europe, if not anywhere else. Thank you very much, and hope to see you in some real time, real place, sometime, somewhere. And I hope it's not the last time we talk. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Bye.